Hey everybody, First Warning Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich looking ahead to the weekend. Obviously, a lot of folks concerned about the rain chances, and I'll preface this at the beginning. It is not going to be a washout, which means by definition that it rains the entire weekend. Kind of like what we saw today. We saw rain in the morning, it looked miserable, and then by afternoon it was fine, in the evening it was fine. And that's going to be what's going to happen this weekend. There's going to be waves of really heavy rain. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I said this earlier today. When it rains, it's going to be a deluge, but it's not going to do it the whole day. The problem is there will be waves of rain. So the longer you spend outside this weekend, the better chance you're going to have of run into a shower. But if you have short things like mowing the grass, going for a walk, maybe you can time out something quick in an hour, you can probably get that in if you time it around the showers. But if you're going to be outside for 4 or 5 hours, that's less likely. And anything that soaks a field, it's probably not a good idea to do that this weekend. So let's get right to what's going on tonight. Here's a look at the radar so you can see. I'm going to go over here and kind of show you what's going on. If you look carefully here, we've got some pretty good rain developing here across Huntsville, Alabama, up to Nashville. This area of rain back to the west, this is really going to be the rain that comes through tomorrow morning and drives a lot of the rain on Saturday. As I widen this out, I'm going to show you a little wider view here. You'll see there's two systems I'm keeping an eye on. There's actually a little low that's kind of over the mid-south, but then you look back to the west, there's a bigger system back here over West Texas and heading into parts of New Mexico. So to break this up, this is basically, this system here is going to be Saturday's rain, and this is going to be Sunday's rain. And you could see there's going to be probably lulls in the activity, a lull here tonight, one here, and then the rain for the weekend. So we widen this out a little bit, and you can see the two systems. And I'll put the water vapor loop on because it really details what's going to happen. Our system coming in tomorrow, and then the system coming in for the upcoming weekend. When we look at the 5-day severe weather outlook, Saturday the threat overall is kind of low, and then Sunday it gets into that medium threat range, which is kind of what I expect to happen on Sunday. Even though there might not be as much rain on Sunday, the 1 or 2 storms or 3 storms that get going, they're going to be pretty strong. Today's severe weather threat, obviously 0. Tomorrow, you see the low threat across most of Charlotte, south and west. As we look ahead to Sunday, you can see that big area of medium threat. So Sunday's really a day probably where more of a severe weather threat, where I think Saturday is probably a heavy rain event. So looking at the impacts, damaging winds would be our big concern from severe weather, and flash flooding by far the biggest threat overall. But if we see sunshine, the tornado hail threat could go up. That's all going to hinge on the amount of sunshine. And that's the thing. If it was a washout of a weekend, we really wouldn't have severe weather threats because the sun wouldn't be out at all, and the atmosphere would be cool, it'd be stable, so we wouldn't get a chance to destabilize things and get to severe weather. So this is one of those instances where the breaks in the rain actually probably gives us a higher chance for severe weather than flash flooding. But that flash flood threat is there. This is the outlook today. It was all to our southwest. Tomorrow, you could see that threat in the mountains, and then on Sunday, you could see it across the mountains again. I'm going to back that up real quickly. So let's go to Saturday. So Saturday, you could see that threat in the mountains, pretty much a carbon copy. Saturday and Sunday, medium threat for flash flooding in the mountains and foothills, with the lower end threat across the Piedmont. So just to look real quick at the surface features, I'm going to go back and show you the hour-by-hour stuff. But you see the complexity of this. We've got several lows, a lot of fronts. It's just a mess, and a lot of moisture in place. So waves of rain this weekend, not a constant rain. And then on Monday, we could see a lingering shower, especially if that backdoor front kind of hangs out. So here's the nuts and bolts of the weekend. Here it is hour by hour. We'll start at 9 o'clock tonight as I'm doing this. Tomorrow morning, waking up, probably dry at 7 a.m., but notice these showers developing back to the west, and then they start to become kind of heavy. So as we get towards the middle of the day, this is 1 o'clock on Saturday, probably that's when we'll see things crank up. There'll probably be a wave of rain, I think, in the middle of the day, around lunchtime. And then by evening, this is 4 o'clock, I think the second wave, you can see it kind of coming in from the southwest through the upstate. This is what arrives, and then still rain over us to the north. Watch this big cluster coming around 6 o'clock. So you can kind of get the idea. Probably a couple waves. A lull in the morning, a wave midday, a lull mid-afternoon, then a lull by evening. But it comes at us in waves. And tomorrow night, I mean, Saturday night to me, probably the wettest weather is going to happen Saturday night into early Sunday. This is 3 o'clock in the morning. You can see the rain still around across most of the area. Now, Sunday morning, Mother's Day. Hey, look at this. The sun might actually be out in the morning. So not all bad. Waking up early might be pretty decent. This is how you can get things done in these breaks. So Sunday morning, there's a break. And then Sunday afternoon, this is where I think the model guidance is kind of off a little bit. If we start to see sunshine I fully suspect we're going to see some storms develop here and move across the region. Now, this model, which is our RPM model, doesn't seem to be as keen on it, and I think it's underplaying it, but I think in the evening there will be a line of storms that marches across the area, especially if we see that sun early in the day, and then it clears out, and on Monday it gets cooler and drier, but there could be some lingering showers. Here's everything you need about the thunderstorm potential. We look at this cape, the amount of thunderstorm fuel. On Saturday, the highest fuel for storms will be from around I-85 south. That'll wane a little bit as we cool down Saturday night, Sunday morning. Then Sunday, notice this. I've shown this earlier, the big fuel down here, but still some low-end range up here. If this moves up to here as the front approaches, that'll set the stage for some heavy rain and some strong storms. And even on Monday, there could be a few showers left over. So this shouldn't be a shock to you that it's rained a lot on the weekends. Friday has been the wettest day of the week so far in 2019. 11 Fridays so far this year have been at least measurable rain, a 1/100th of an inch or higher. Saturday and Tuesday have had 8 days, and Sunday 10 days. So the weekend, by far, those 3 days seem to be the wettest. And by the way, most recently, 5 of the last 6 Fridays it's rained, 4 of the last 6 Saturdays, and 2 of the last 6 Sundays. So Fridays have certainly been the wettest day, but Saturdays and Sundays lately at least have been wet. We had some really dry weather back in February and March, but nobody remembers that because it was cold and dark. Now that it's sunny and people are doing things outside, we're starting to notice the rain on the weekends even more so. Good time to download the WCNC Charlotte Weather app. Remember, you can grab it in the App Store, Android, as well as iOS. Look for this logo here, WCNC Charlotte Weather app. Beautiful mapping on there. I love it. Actually, this is one app I'm starting to use quite a bit because I love the map, and it's our data. It's not automated. Now, if you travel outside of my viewing area, there will be automated data in there because I don't forecast for those areas. But if you're in the Carolinas, it will give you my forecast, and no matter where you travel, you will get alerts just for your phone, GPS location. So real quickly before I leave you, this was kind of a long one, I'll break down the weekend forecast hour by hour. You can kind of see it laid out here. Highest chances of rain. Notice that midday around 11 a.m., 50%, goes down a little bit, then starts to turn back up in the evening. Sunday, first half of the day, not bad, but storm chances crank up mid to late afternoon and then go back down. So I think that kind of tells you everything you know about the weekend. Of course, all this can change if things speed up, slow down, the sun comes out, doesn't come out. So it's one of those weekends you just got to pay attention to the weather. And as I said earlier, the more time you spend outside, the better chance you have of running into showers. But if you have short things you can get done, you can time it out between some of these waves of rain this weekend. By the end of the weekend, though, those rainfall totals will pile up because it'll be a cumulative effect after all those waves move through. Have a great Friday night, a great weekend. Of course, you know me. I'll post updates throughout the weekend. Good night, everybody.